All right, let me see if I got this straight. Inflation is caused because the government, some people blame Democrats, spend ridiculous amounts of money, and therefore money needs to be printed because of reckless spending, right? So inflation is caused by, in part, by the Inflation Reduction Act, COVID bills, infrastructure, the American Rescue Plan, illegal immigrants, gays getting married, and women having abortions, etc., etc. So these things, because money needs to be spent and money needs to be printed, caused inflation. But what didn't cause inflation was wealthy people making record profits on a consistent basis. See, these are like one-time things or one-time things when it's needed. But wealthy people making record profits is an ongoing thing. So when wealthy people make record profits and hoard cash, money does need to be printed, but that doesn't cause inflation. And we know that it's correct because after $44 billion later, we've actually seen it. So these things cause inflation, but not that. Yeah, you can't have rich people without poor people. And there's no question as to why the wealth gap is as large as it is. You know, a couple years back, Payless pulled a prank where they opened a store and they basically took like sneakers that were worth $30 and charged $600. And people went in and shopped. And they proved a few things. First off, they proved that greed and company are the ones who set prices. They prove that you are the problem and you will spend. And they also prove that the financial system is completely made up bullshit. I think that last part is the most important one because people don't seem to understand that these things aren't written in stone. Like these rules to how the financial market works can and have already been changed. You can make it easy on yourself and go back to just the Great Depression and see the changes that took place after that. But for a quick recap, because there was a pandemic and shit needed to be fixed and get done, we had the Inflation Reduction Act, the COVID bills. I guess those were like the stimulus packages. Infrastructure and the American Rescue Plan. All of these things led to inflation. But the printing of money that it takes for wealthy people to continue to build their wealth, $44 billion later, we know this is true, didn't cause inflation. Yeah, none of that makes sense. None of it. Dave Chappelle recently did, was it SNL? I think, yeah, SNL. And he did a joke about how Donald Trump told Hillary Clinton to, if he wanted him to pay taxes, then change the tax codes. But they wouldn't do it because their wealthy donors also benefit from the same tax code. But we know that that's not true because that's pretty much what Donald Trump is under investigation for, is allegedly ignoring the financial system. So, like I said, you can't have rich people without poor people. There's no question as to why the wealth gap is as large as it is. And I'm not sure how rich people convinced everybody else of all of these things, but kudos to them once again. Like, big time applause, because to pull this off is just amazing. Yeah, none of this makes sense. It really doesn't. But hey, you know, that old saying, what is it? Let me make sure I got this right. So, doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. That sounds like everybody out there. Human beings are fascinating.